Oh, hello. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Corsair Voidscarred kill team. Corsair Voidscarred, yes. The Corsair Voidscarred kill team. This is the Eldar team that came in the big box, the latest big box, alongside the Chaos Legionaries. It's taken me a little while to get around to making a video about them, but it was requested, so I hope that you enjoy it. The first thing I want to say is that I feel like Corsairs got shortchanged because basically nobody's talking about them online. They're not getting a lot of play at events that I hear about, and I think it's the fault of the Space Clowns. Because Games Workshop, I don't begrudge Harlequins getting a White Dwarf release, but it was very strange to me that Games Workshop decided to drop the Harlequins team in White Dwarf basically the same month that the box with the Corsairs in came out. Because what I mean is that the people who, for fluff reasons, or who know that they like the kind of Eldar style of play, they were given two options to choose from at the same time. And Compendium Harlequins were really, really strong. They were regarded as the strongest Compendium team, and certainly one of the stronger teams in the meta. And I think that by and large, although the playstyle is slightly different, that the White Dwarf Harlequins are even stronger than that. And it comes down, I made a video a little while ago, which was a shower thought video, that was asking the question, to what extent does the hobby affect the meta? And I think this is another example of that, where people who are into Eldar, they already had Harlequins as their painted kill team. And then when the White Dwarf came out, they were like, oh great, I just painted up a couple, I've got an excuse to buy and paint 2 character models, add them to my Harlequins, and I've got a whole new team. Versus 8 Corsairs, 9 Corsairs rather, who are, first of all, it's a slightly new spin on the IP. Corsairs, slightly new model as opposed to Harlequins that have been around for a long time now, and it just, they're kind of looking at the same audience of people who like that kind of fast, agile Eldar archetype, right? So I do feel like Corsairs got shortchanged. I think Games Workshop should have released something different in that White Dwarf slot and given us the Harlequin team a little further on down the line myself. Anyway, let's get into the Corsair Voidscarred. So, as an overview, rules-wise, they're really simplistic, right? They have the one special rule, they have Eldari Raiders. Each time this operative is activated, it can perform a free dash action during that activation. So as we're going to see, the Corsair Voidscarred have 2 APL, but they effectively have 3 APL, right? Because they can dash, everyone can do a free dash. So you can move and dash and shoot, or move and dash and score an objective. It's pretty strong. They're recon or seek and destroy, which means you're probably going for recon. It's a shame not to get security, but then not everyone can have it. Weirdly, although there's 10 models in the set, it's a 9 model team. So you've got to take a Voidscarred Felarch, and then you can take 1 gunner or heavy gunner, which is a little strange. So it says right here down the bottom, let me get my pen. Your kill team cannot include both a Voidscarred gunner operative and a Voidscarred heavy gunner operative. So you're picking one of these, okay? And then what that effectively means is you've got this guy and then 8 from this list, so you've got 1 from here, and that leaves you enough space to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and take all the other interesting models and not bother about any warriors, is what I believe to be the most likely team build. Which makes these quite a nice starter team, because I think you can build the most competitive team from one box and only feel like you needed to pick up an extra box if you wanted to have real preparedness for some real edge cases. So let's get into looking at the different data cards. We'll start with the Felarch. So he is the leader. He has some weapon options. So you can either take him with a rifle, a pistol and a power weapon, or a Neuro Disruptor and a power weapon. It's worth having a look at his datasheet, because we haven't looked at the stat block yet. So move 3, APL 2, group activation 1, def 3, a 4-up save. So this is the same stats as all the other things in this team. Very common stat block. He's got 9 wounds. Everyone else has got 8. He's doing the usual thing of being a leader and getting +1 wound for his trouble. The Neuro Disruptor's a nice pistol. It's got AP 1 on it and damage 4, 5 and stun, which is a nice neat little package. So that's probably what you're going to go for, along with the power weapon. The rifle, I mean, all of the Corsairs, the basic warriors and the leader have this take aim, which means that if you're using the shuriken rifle, you can gain the balance special rule for 1 AP, and maybe you would briefly consider the shuriken rifle on the Felarch, because he, unlike the warrior, retains his power weapon if he takes a shuriken rifle and a shuriken pistol. But frankly, I think that the Neuro Disruptor is too good to pass up. He has this ability down here, Coordinated Strike. So when he's activated, you can select one ready friendly Corsair Voidscarred operative visible to him within blue. After the operative's activation ends, you can activate that friendly operative. So you can go around with a wingman, and you can have a little team of 2, sort of trying to close with the enemy, get into combat and do that kind of thing. He has a piece of equipment that is unique to him called the Mist Field. So if you spend 3 of your equipment points on this, it gives him an aura of white, and everyone within that aura gets a 5 invulnerable save, which could be a nice pick against a team which you can see has a lot of AP, especially since he's always going to be running around with a friend for his Coordinated Strike ability. So that's the Felarch, a pretty good leader character with a nice pistol weapon and a nice sort of leadery buffing ability. So the basic warriors, probably we're not going to take these. You can have a power weapon. So I'm wrong. All that stuff I said about the leader having the power weapon option, ignore that. So you can have a power weapon and a shuriken. No, I'm right. Okay, I'm going to go back to if I go back to the first page, you only get the power weapon if you take the pistol, or you can take the rifle and get the fist. So you have the power weapon and the pistol, or you can have the rifle. If you have the rifle, you get the take aim option. I wouldn't take these. Maybe you'll find that you want a rifle, because as we look through the specialists, they do lack for ranged attacks, for attacks with infinite range, but the team's so mobile that I don't think you're gonna really crave that, and you do have a couple of infinite range fighters, so maybe there's scope to swap a warrior in instead of the worst specialist. That we will come to the worst one in the set, but I think you're probably, if you're looking at how to build the models, you're probably going to just want to go for all the specialists and a gunner. Let's look at those gunners. So I've put them on the same page because it's effectively a choice. You get to pick one. Stat card wise, they're identical. This may as well just be the same stat card with lots of weapon options. You're taking the Voidscarred gunner with the blaster. I don't like the other weapons aren't bad, but the opportunity cost just makes it so you're taking the blaster because it's AP2, 5-6 damage. I mean, the Wraith Cannon is AP2 and it's 6-7 damage effectively, right, with the Mortal Wounds 4, but you have to deal with heavy and unwieldy for that extra point of damage, which I don't think is worth it. So yeah, you build your gun with your blaster and don't look back, I think. Will there be times that you want a shredder with blast? Potentially, but even then, probably not. I really like the blaster. It will never not be funny to me that the blaster doesn't have blast and the shredder is the alternative, and the shredder has the blast rule, but the blaster doesn't have the blast rule. But that's just me. No, so the blaster, the Wraith Cannons, if you could take a heavy gunner and a gunner, then you'd be taking a Wraith Cannon most likely. Because, but it's not. So, yeah, take the gunner, build it with a blaster. That's certainly the default pick. If anyone's got a real idea of a particular team where you definitely want something different, so you should always roster this different thing because you'll really miss it against a specific team, let me know what the scenario is down in the comments. And while you're down there in the comments, it would be really great if you could subscribe to the channel. Trying to really pump the subscriber number to get up to 1,000 subscribers, so that really helps me out as well. Thank you. Anyway, on with the video. Duelists. I mean, the duelist thing is he has a fusion pistol. I can almost just say he has a fusion pistol and move on with the slide, but it's actually even better than that. He has a fusion pistol, he can shoot it in combat, right? So the operative can perform a pistol barrage and shoot actions while in engagement range of an enemy operative. If he does, in the select valid target step of the shooting attack, you can only select enemy operatives within the operative's engagement range. So even if somebody's charged you, you can go, okay, I'm not going to do a fight action, I'm going to shoot you in the face with a melter pistol. Ha ha ha. That's cool. I mean, that's really cool. What's the pistol barrage action? Okay, pistol barrage essentially means that when you make a shooting attack with one pistol, you can also make a shooting attack with the other pistol. So he's got that little shuriken pistol as well, which is work, may as well have it, right? So you can shoot someone with your fusion pistol and kill them, and shoot someone else with your shuriken pistol, or you can shoot someone with your fusion pistol and if somehow you don't quite kill them, you can then try and finish them off with your shuriken pistol instead. That's all amazing. He's cool. He's a badass, you know. The Kurnite Hunter. So the Kurnite Hunter has a bird, and the bird is pretty likely to do nothing. If you were going to swap a model out for a warrior with a rifle, this would be the model that you'd consider swapping out, because if you ignore the bird, he's just a warrior, but a warrior with the less interesting pistol and power weapon loadout. So let's look at what this bird does before we write it off. Okay, so Falchu, which sounds like a Pokemon. Falchu, I choose you. I don't know. Falchu. Select one enemy operative with a conceal order that is visible to this operative and roll a d6, adding 1 to the result for each of the following. If they're within red of the operative, if the enemy operative is not ready, so they've already acted this turn, and if they're not within black of heavy cover, and so you have to get a 6. So you've got a 1 in 6 chance, improving to a 50-50 chance in ideal circumstances, and if you pass, then the rest of your team can treat it as if it's on an engage order, which, from my mind, it's just, considering you're already having to use up an activation of a pointless model and use an AP to set this up for the rest of your team, like, I just think it's too difficult to pull off. I just think it's too difficult to pull off, right? It should at least happen on a 5-up by default with those 3 bullet points, right? Meaning that it can happen on a 2-up. That's what I would change about it, I think. And that still wouldn't make it, I don't think, really, really good, and it wouldn't quite make it the auto take. But at least if it happened on a 5, and then you could, in the ideal circumstances, get it to happen on a 2, that would be better. I think as it is, it's just a bit too unlikely to come off. For me, your mileage may vary. The Shade Runner. Oh, the Shade Runner's really cool as well. This is another operative like the pistol one that I really like. So the Shade Runner has fly, first of all, so let's not notice that, because it's just tucked down here. Okay, so like the entire Harlequin team, he can fly, which is pretty sweet. He has a combat weapon. He has a silenced ranged attack that's just slightly worse than his pistol, and then the pistol, which is damage 3/4 ending. So he has this slicing attack where for 1 AP you can move a free normal move, select an enemy operative that you move within engagement range of during the move, roll 1 attack dice as if the operative is fighting in combat. The dice can be re-rolled as a result of the relentless special rule, and if it's successful, you immediately strike the enemy operative. So for 1 AP you can move and sort of slice with your Hecatari blades as you're moving past, which is pretty ridiculous. Yes, there was an FAQ to say that, just to say, yes, you can actually use the rule how you'd think. Some people were rules lawyering it and saying, oh, technically you can't move within engagement range unless you're performing the charge action, and therefore this special attack can never work. And it's like, they've written the special attack, so obviously they want to break their own rule. They're Games Workshop, they know what they're doing. Pointing out that they've not written enough exemptions into their rule doesn't make the intent of their rule any less clear, because it couldn't possibly have done anything else. But, you know, the FAQ's there now, so that's great. you know, I love the fact that you could run past them, stab them, throw your silent blade at them, and then dash behind cover and be in cover and concealment. He's such a ninja. I don't know how effective it is, but it's funny and cool. And he has fly, and he can fly up and down terrain, and you could use your dash to fly up onto a low. I mean, it's cool. I enjoy it. I just really enjoy the Voidscarred Shade Runner. Yeah. I don't know how much damage is he really going to do. You could do all that, and you could easily do like a little, half damage to something and be like, oh. But you got a good chance of killing something. You got a good chance of killing something. Your Hecatari blades, you're going to do 3 or 5 with that. You're likely to do 5. You've got the lethal 5 up. You've got relentless. You're re-rolling. You do only get the 1 attack dice though, but yeah, you could kill someone with that. For sure. The Voidscarred Kurnite is the Bruiserbelt guy, right? He charges in and fights people in combat with his dual power weapons, and power weapons are really good. And he's got 2 of them, which is pretty cool. And yeah, you go in, you fight, and then you've killed him, hopefully. He does have this bladed stance, so he fights in combat. In the resolve successful hit step of the combat, you can resolve 1 successful hit before the attacker. If you do, you have to parry, which is quite nice. If you find yourself stuck in a combat from a previous round, you can go before they do and get a parry off, which might just be enough to keep you alive. It might not make a difference, but when it comes up, so good. Fate Dealer, so this is your silent sniper guy. As silent sniper rifles go, this guy's pretty cool, but his sniper rifle does have heavy, which is a bummer. So that's, yeah. Now, he does have a piece of equipment, the Pathfinder cloak he can get, which means that if he has a conceal order, he's always treated as having a conceal order regardless of any other rules, e.g. vantage point. So that means that you can keep him. There's no reason, because you still want to get the ability to see your opponents, but there's less of an imperative to get him up on a vantage point to make him immune to enemies who are up on vantage points, at least. Whether that's worth 2 EP to you is up to you. There are some other nice things in the equipment list. By default, though, he does have a camo cloak, so whenever he gets shot in the roll defense dice step of the shooting attack, before rolling your defense dice, if you're in cover, you can retain an additional successful normal save. So very hard to remove. Like I say, sniper rifle hitting on 2s. Potentially, if you've got the AP to spare, re-rolling those 1s as well by keeping yourself balanced. And 3, effectively 3/6 with the mortal wounds. And 4 dice hitting on 2s is nothing to be sniffed at. So we like a silent sniper. All the top tier teams have one. Wayseeker. So the Wayseeker is your psyker. A pretty useful psyker as psykers go. So you can do a psychic power. When you've done your psychic power, you can do a second psychic power, but this time you have to roll a dice, and if you roll a 1 or a 2, you suffer 3 mortal wounds. You can spend 2 equipment points to buy a hat, which prevents you taking those mortal wounds, although you do still fail to cast the power, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, you do still fail to cast the power. They did give you an FAQ to say you can't do the same power twice. You could never do lightning strike twice because it's a shoot action, but you could potentially, rules as written, have done one of the other things twice, so now that you can't. Psychic power wise, you've got lightning strike, which is pretty good. It's an AP1, infinite range, shooting attack. And then the other 3 are situational, but they're good situational. It's a good suite of situational powers. So warding shield, if you've got a friend visible and within red, you can give them a 3-up invulnerable save. Could be really useful in the right circumstance. Freezing grasp, select an invisible enemy until the end of the turning point, subtract white from their operative movement characteristic, and they can't dash. Again, could be really good in the right circumstance. And warp fold, select another friendly operative visible to them within red. The friendly operative and this operative both drop any objective markers they're carrying, and then they swap positions. Yeah, again, situational, but could be really powerful in the right situation. So I like him. He's got a suite, or her, or they've got a suite of situational powers, as well as a pretty good sort of repeatable shooting action. Whether you think it's worth purchasing the Lodestar Helm to save yourself the potential of that 3 mortal wounds is up to you. And then the Soul Weaver is a combination of the comms and the medic. Not quite as good as everybody else's medic because you don't have the ability to revive people from the dead. You can only do the D3 healing lost wounds, although you only have you within red to do the D3 healing lost wounds, which is interesting. And you can do it twice, which is pretty nice as well. Alternatively, Soul Channel, which is passing on your 1 APL, and again that's got a range of red that's a bit longer than the average the comms person. Now, having them on the same character is kind of bad because it means obviously you've only got your 2 APL, so if you're doing both of those things you don't get to move. I mean, you get your free dash, but you don't get to move normally. And if you're in a position where you really need to heal somebody, you've lost out on your comms, but you can't deny that she is a useful operative to have on your team. Ploys. Okay, so I was looking at the strategic ploys first. Plunderers is pretty good. You can get 3 free dash actions in a turn, but you have to end them closer to the nearest objective marker. I think that's pretty good. It might be something that you're going to use in the first turn of every game. It might not be, but it's pretty strong to get that much free movement. The other 3 strategic ploys are pretty situational. Rapid Strike. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Corsair Voidscarred operative fights in combat, in the roll attack dice step of that combat, if you are the attacker and the target is not ready, you can select a normal hit to be retained as a critical hit. That is a lot of if you are this and you are that, so you have to be the attacker in a combat against somebody who has themselves already acted. Very situational, very hard to use well. Outcasts. Until the end of the turning point, each time a friendly Corsair Voidscarred operative fights in combat or makes a shooting attack, in the roll attack dice step of the combat or shooting attack, if it is more than red away from friendly operatives, you retain any critical hits, and you can select, if you retain any crits, you can select a failed hit to be retained as a successful normal hit. Again, it's a lot of quite complicated qualifiers. This time you have to be out on your own, more than red for the rest of your team. If you manage that, then you get a buff, but the buff seems quite slight to me. And Eldari Agility is also situational, so you turn it on. When you turn it on, each model can then choose to use its Eldari Agility, which locks it out of fight and shoot, but means you get an extra inch on your dash, fallbacks and normal moves. You know, it could be a clincher, especially I'm thinking turning point 4, getting to objectives or table quarters and scoring things. But again, it's pretty situational. What I'm far more excited about are the tactical ploys. So you've got opportunistic fighters. When an enemy performs a fallback action before it moves away, the enemy operative suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, you know, it's one of those things where you're probably not going to use it, but if your enemy is in a situation where they've got 3 wounds or less and they're considering a fallback, just remind them, hey, I could spend a CP to do this. And you probably won't even have to spend the CP, to be fair. They might make you, but it's a good one because it's a bit of a threat, right? And the other, we're going to skip over, Light Fingers is the best one. I'll skip over that for a second. Deadly Ambush is similar, right? So after an enemy operative finishes an action in which it moved, you can select a friendly Corsair Voidscarred operative that's not within engagement range of the enemy operative, and that friendly operative can immediately do a free charge of up to blue to finish with engagement range of the enemy operative. Again, you get work out of this just by reminding your opponent that you have it. You don't necessarily have to use it all the time, but simply by reminding your opponent that you have it, you can make them have to work around this bubble of blue around all of your models, which is pretty fun. One step ahead lets you redeploy up to 2 friendly Corsair Voidscarred. They have to be set up wholly with your deployment zone. So if you are the defender and the attacker deploys in a certain way, and then you see the opportunity to redeploy someone in such a way that benefits you, you have that option there for you. So that makes that interesting, although will it come up every game? I don't know. The one that I think will come up every single game, and the one that you're going to want to save a lot of your points for, is Light Fingers. Use this tactical ploy during a friendly Corsair Voidscarred operative activation. Until the end of the activation, that operative can perform for free either one mission action or the pick-up action, even if it's an engagement ranged enemy operative, which is really funny because it means that you can charge someone, play light fingers, pick something up that they were stood on or near, right? Then you can fight them, and then if you've killed them, you can then dash away with your free dash action. You can do 4 AP's worth of stuff in one turn. You can yoink things out from under people's feet. It's great fun, and I think that light fingers is what makes this team really very interesting. Equipment. So we've covered the mist field, the lodestar helm, and the pathfinder cloak when we were looking at the individual things that they can be used for. Runes of protection seems awful. So each time a shooting attack is made against the operative in the roll defense dice step of the shooting attack, if the shooting attack was made as a result of a manifest psychic power action, you can re-roll any roll of your defense dice. I guess if you know that you're fighting against demons and they've got a pack of horrors, then this could be quite funny. Or if I probably wouldn't even take it against Thousand Sons. I might do. Grey Knights, probably not, because they're mainly going to kill with Stormbolters. So yeah, against demons or Thousand Sons, you might, but you probably not against Thousand Sons. Maybe against demons, if they were really doubling down on the horrors, you might do, because it's going to work out against all their shooting. But in general, it's pretty pointless. The ocular scanner for 2 EP until the end of the operative activation. The ranged weapon, excuse me for yawning, the ranged weapon it's equipped with gains the no cover special rule. Well, yes, but it's 2 EP and an AP for no cover. I'm not sure that's worth it. The Corsair Blade's main gimmick is that it's a slight upgrade, but its main thing is that it costs 1 equipment point, so you might use it if all your other picks have been 3 equipment points. The plasma grenade is a plasma grenade. It's not quite a crack grenade, but it's better than a frag grenade. Yeah, grenades are good. I mean, there's a strong argument that says, yes, take 3 plasma grenades and a Corsair blade, I guess. But then again, I like the lodestar helm, perhaps, or the mist field, perhaps, pathfinder cloak even. I like those. The diurnal mantle, which is each time a shooting attack is made against the operative, if the ranged weapon has torrent or blast, the operative is treated as having a save of 3 up. If you're playing against compendium tyranids, then suddenly you might want to break out your diurnal mantle, because they've got those little breath attacks that are all torrents. That might be worth having. Okay, but generally, nah. But overall, a good equipment list. I mean, it has grenades in it, so it's a good equipment list overall, right? Tac Ops, flawless raid is literally win more. You reveal the Tac Op at any turning point after the second. If you've got more victory points, you score a victory point. If you manage to have more victory points in turn 3 and turn 4, then at the start, then you get victory points in each one. Yeah, if you've got a bad objective that you don't think you can score in the deck that you've picked, then subbing in flawless raid, you've not lost anything by it. If you were going to win, then this is just extending your lead. Soul Guard and Opportunist kind of go together. So Soul Guard basically says that whenever one of your guys die, they drop a Spirit Stone token. So if none of your guys are incapacitated, you score 2 VPs right off the bat. At the end of the battle, so you have to go around and pick up these Spirit Stones. At the end of the battle, if you have at least half of the Spirit Stones that you've generated, you score a VP. And if you have all the Spirit Stones, you score a VP. Seems fairly achievable. Opportunist is slightly different in that you pick 3 models. They have loot tokens. You have to then kill those 3 models and pick up their loot tokens. I like it, yes, because I dislike any Tac Op that gives your opponent any amount of control over what it is that you're trying to do. Like, I automatically look at those ones and kind of mentally discard them. It seems quite hard. I mean, Soul Guard also seems like it could be kind of hard, but again, also kind of achievable. It's just not. It's not a given. You have to work for it, but I don't think that the work you have to do for it is particularly unlikely to come off. Okay. Final thoughts. So, what I really want to say is let me know what I've got wrong. I've never played this team. Chances are I'm not going to play them. I actually really like the Corsairs after sort of thinking about them today for this video and putting the video together. I think they're a really fun team. Their rules really appeal to me. It is one of the teams that Mrs. Tabletop Impulse has kind of dibsed and says she wants that one. So, you know, it would have to be me buying a second box. What really appeals to me, I guess, is they're quite low cognitive load in a way. They haven't got a big mechanic like contrast them with the Harlequins or the Novitiates, where you're always having to think about your points and do things and put things there. These guys, you've just got free dash. You can do free dash with every character. That's pretty great. That's pretty straightforward. All their specialists seem pretty strong, and like I say, their ability to spend a CP to do a mission action as a free action is, I think that's kind of amazing. I think that tactical ploy is the secret sauce for the Corsairs. So I like them. I like them a lot. I think they're pretty cool. I think I like their style of play more than their kind of models or whatever. There's nothing wrong with the models. I'm not a huge Eldar fan, and Mrs. TI is, but rules-wise, I really like them. They're pretty cool. I mean, I piloted Dark Eldar in Kill Team 18. That was like my main team because I quite like Dark Eldar. These have got a bit of the Dark Eldar vibe going on, so interesting to see the bespoke Dark Eldar team when it comes out, right? But these seem pretty cool. I did want to ask, how's my audio quality? Only because I had a comment that was like, oh, you know, your audio quality is pretty bad. I suppose you've already thought about that. And I was like, I didn't know it was bad. And I asked some people on my Discord, like, how's the audio quality? And they're like, oh, it's all right, you're just a little bit quieter. But then I guess the kind of people that join the Discord are the people who really like what I'm doing and want to be happy, friendly, supportive human beings. So I have fiddled with some settings in Windows. Hopefully I am coming through slightly louder and slightly clearer now. So please let me know down in the comments if I've made it better or if I've made it worse. I do listen back to my videos, believe it or not, but I just hadn't clocked that the quality was bad. I've been thinking a little bit about the future of the channel. Basically, at the moment, I'm in a little bit of a rut. It's not a bad rut, but I'm sort of reacting to Games Workshop Kill Team related news, and I am ploughing through my list of Kill Team rundowns to do like this, punctuated by the occasional interesting conversation or shower thoughts. I keep thinking about things like, obviously the hobby videos are quite popular, but that requires me to actually accomplish hobby, which isn't always the easiest thing. I keep thinking about, I did that video recently where I did a little recorded segment when I was flicking through the White Dwarf. I've shown my face on the channel before. I did that little YouTube short thing at Christmas. Generally speaking, I like the PowerPoint style, although I'm considering whether at some point I want to do some live streaming. It's kind of wibbling around in my head, but I don't know if I'd try and do like a hobby stream or just kind of a, I'm going to sit in a chair and ramble, but you can type at me kind of a stream. But in either event, I've kind of proven from using my microphone's great, from using my webcam for that White Dwarf episode where you couldn't really see anything, that would take a little bit of investment to do anything like that. So if you'd like to see that kind of stuff, let me know in the chat. Obviously, as I've already said halfway through the video, subscribing is the best thing you can do to help me out. Liking the video is also good. And join the Discord. The link is down in the description. The Discord's quite cool. It's getting bigger every day. A lot of people like to come on and lurk on the Discord, but there is kind of a pretty active little community of sort of 8 or 9 of us that are always talking all the time. And please just jump in and join in. And I know it can seem a little bit cliquey to see the same names over and over again, but I do like having people in the Discord. And if you are off to buy things, there's the links to the shops, the Element Games and Noble Knight Games, where I get a little bit back as well, which could be put towards a better camera or something like that if I was to decide to go down that route, or indeed a better microphone if you all tell me, no, the audio, you haven't managed to fix it in the software. Again, that would help me out. Okay, enough rambling about the channel. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you all next time. Cheerio!